30 minutes remaining in the session. Race start. David Forsyth is P4. John Astrup from New Zealand is P4 on mediums. Martin Wall is P2. John Astrup is P4. San Markham from Zimbabwe is P6 with 100 kilos on mediums. John Astrup is P4. Mark Scott entering the pits is P12. San Markham is P9. David Forsyth from Ireland is P6 on mediums. John Astrup is P4. Martin Wall is P2. John Astrup is P4, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Eric Bohm from Germany is P1 on mediums, 0.7 ahead of Martin Wall. Ian Weeks entering the pits is P9. Ian Morton entering the pits is P12. Ian Weeks is P12. John Astrup is P4, 0.4 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is P6. Best lap is a 2:12.486. 7.266 off the fastest lap. David Forsyth is now P5. John Astrup is P3 on mediums, 0.9 ahead of Brian Patterson. Attila Kseniai from Hungary is P8, 0.5 behind Glenn Field. Attila Kseniai is now P7. San Markham is P11, 0.6 behind Richard Ogden. Brian Patterson is P4 on mediums battling Eric Bohm. Brian Patterson is now P3. Richard Ogden is P11 on mediums. Eric Bohm is P4, 0.2 behind Brian Patterson. 25 minutes remaining in the session. Martin Moll is P1, 2.5 ahead of John Astro. Eric Bohm is P4, 0.4 behind Brian Patterson. John Astrup is P2. Best lap is a 2:03.119. 0.511 of the fastest lap. Eric Bohm on lap 3 is P4, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. John Astrup is P2. Eric Bohm is P4, 0.4 behind Brian Patterson. Eric Bohm is now P3. John Astrup is P2. Eric Bohm is P3, 1.0 ahead of Brian Patterson. John Astrup is P2 on mediums, 1.6 ahead of Eric Bohm. David Forsyth is P5. Best lap is a 2:03.133. 0.525 of the fastest lap. Jovan Ustjosen is P10. John Astrup is P2, 1.5 ahead of Eric Bohm. Jovan Ustjosen entering the pits after 4 laps on mediums is P10. Jovan Ustjosen is P10, 4.9 ahead of Richard Ogden. Ian Weeks entering the pits after 3 laps on mediums is P12. Jovan Ustjosen is now P11. Ian Weeks is P12. Glenn Field is P9. 20 minutes remaining in the session. Richard Ogden is P10, 3.3 ahead of Jovan Ustiosen. Richard Ogden was 6.7 faster last lap. David Forsyth on lap 5 is P5, 1.3 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is now P6. Jovan Ustiosen is P11, 0.2 behind Richard Ogden. Richard Ogden was 6.7 faster last lap. Jovan Ustiosen is now P10. John Astrup on lap 6 is P2, 1.4 ahead of Eric Bohm. Richard Ogden is P11, 0.4 ahead of Jovan Ustiosen. Richard Ogden is now P10. Richard Ogden is now P11. Eric Bohm is P3, 0.5 behind John Astrup. Jovan Ustiosen from South Africa is P11, 1.7 behind Richard Ogden. John Astrup is P2, 0.7 ahead of Eric Bohm. Ian Weeks is P12, 0.6 behind Richard Ogden. John Astrup is P3, 0.1 behind Eric Bohm. Ian Weeks is P12, 0.4 behind Richard Ogden. John Astrup is P3, 0.7 behind Eric Bohm. Martin Moll is P1. John Astrup is P3 on mediums, 0.9 behind Eric Bohm. Ian Weeks is P11, 1.6 behind Richard Ogden. John Astrup is P3, 1.0 behind Eric Bohm. Glenfield is P9. John Astrup from New Zealand is P3, 0.5 behind Eric Bohm. 15 minutes remaining in the session. David Forsyth entering the pits after 7 laps on mediums is P6. David Forsyth is P6. Glenn Field is P9, 3.3 ahead of Richard Ogden. Richard Ogden was 8.0 faster last lap. David Forsyth is P8, 1.0 behind Sam Markham. Martin Moll is P1. Best lap is a 2:02.227. John Astrup on lap 8 is P3, 1.3 behind Eric Bone. Attila Ksenia is P6. Richard Ogden is P10, 1.0 behind Glenn Field. Attila Ksenia is P6. Glenn Field entering the pits after 8 laps on mediums is P11. John Astrup is P3, 1.6 behind Eric Bone. Attila Ksenia entering the pits after 8 laps on mediums is P6. Attila Ksenia is P6. Brian Patterson is P4, 4.2 ahead of Rene Robertson. Attila Ksenia is P8. John Astrup from New Zealand is P3, 2.2 behind Eric Bone. Ian Weeks is P10. Richard Ogden entering the pits after 8 laps on mediums is P9. Richard Ogden is P9. Best lap is a 2:09.060. 6.833 off the fastest lap. Martin Moll entering the pits after 9 laps on mediums is P1. Martin Moll is P2. Brian Patterson is P4. Best lap is a 2:03.265. 1.038 off the fastest lap. Martin Moll is P3, 1.0 ahead of Brian Patterson. Martin Moll is now P4. Sam Markham is P6, 1.4 ahead of David Forsyth. Mark Scott is P13 on mediums. Mark Scott entering the pits after 2 laps on mediums is P13. Brian Patterson is P3, 2.8 ahead of Martin Moll. David Forsyth is P7, 1.4 behind Sam Markham. David Forsyth was 3.8 faster last lap. 10 minutes remaining in the session. Ian Weeks is P9. Richard Ogden is P10 on mediums. Richard Ogden is now P9. San Markham on lap 10 is P6. Martin Moore on lap 10 is P4, 1.1 behind Brian Patterson. Rene Robertson entering the pits after 10 laps on mediums is P5. Rene Robertson is P5. Brian Patterson is P4, 0.3 behind Martin Moore. Rene Robertson is P5 with 40 kilos on mediums. Martin Moore is P3, 0.6 ahead of Brian Patterson. Brian Patterson was 20.7 faster last lap. Brian Patterson is P4, 2.1 behind Martin Moore. John Astrup is P2. Best lap is a 2:02.896. 0.669 off the fastest lap. San Markham is P6. Ian Weeks is P10. John Astrup entering the pits after 11 laps on mediums is P2. John Astrup is P2. Brian Patterson on lap 11 is P4. Brian Patterson entering the pits after 11 laps on mediums is P4. Rene Robertson is P5. Best lap is a 2:05.118. 2.891 off the fastest lap. John Astrup is P3. Rene Robertson is P4 with 40 kilos, 0.6 ahead of Brian Patterson. Richard Ogden is P9 on mediums. Brian Patterson is P5, 0.2 behind Rene Robertson. Ian Weeks is P10. Brian Patterson is P5, 0.4 behind Rene Robertson. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Rene Robertson is P4 with 40 kilos, 0.1 ahead of Brian Patterson. Ian Weeks is P10. Brian Patterson is P5 on mediums, 0.4 behind Rene Robertson. Sam Markham is P7 on mediums, 0.1 behind David Forsyth. Brian Patterson is P5 on mediums, 0.4 behind Rene Robertson. Rene Robertson is P4, 0.2 ahead of Brian Patterson. Rene Robertson is now P5. David Forsyth is P6, 5.0 ahead of Sam Markham. Rene Robertson on lap 14 is P5, 1.3 behind Brian Patterson. San Marcom is P7, 0.9 ahead of Attila Kseniai. Richard Ogden is P9. Rene Robertson is P5, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. David Forsyth is P6. Rene Robertson is P5, 0.3 behind Brian Patterson. Richard Ogden is P9. Richard Ogden entering the pits after 6 laps on mediums is P9. Rene Robertson is P5, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Richard Ogden is P9. Rene Robertson is P5 with 40 kilos, 0.5 behind Brian Patterson. Eric Bohm is P1, 1.1 ahead of Martin Moore. Martin Moore was 3.7 faster last lap. The leader has just finished the race. Eric Bohm finished P1. Martin Moore finished P2. Ian Weeks finished P10. John Astrup finished P3. Brian Patterson finished P4. Rene Robertson finished P5. David Forsyth finished P6. Richard Ogden finished P9. Attila Kseniai finished P8. San Marcom finished P7. Ian Weeks finished P10.